Hi, this is Dr. Michael Popkin, and welcome to week 6 of Doc Pop's 52 Weeks of Active Parenting. Head off misbehavior before it occurs. Have you ever noticed that a lot of kids seem to subscribe to the old saying, it's a lot easier to get forgiveness than it is to get permission? In other words, oh, I didn't know I wasn't allowed to watch R-rated movies when I was at their house. I thought you only meant it when I was at our house. Anytime we are gray or fuzzy in our communication with our kids, we leave the door open for true misunderstanding, which does happen a lot, but sometimes playing the, oh, I didn't know card. So one of the ways to get around this and to really teach our kids a lot of good communication skills is to hold what we call a problem prevention talk. This is something that we do before an event happens. Events like spending the night out, maybe going to dinner together for the first time before understanding of what is expected and what's not expected happens. Going shopping, visiting grandparents, dating later when your kids are teenagers, going to a party, staying with a babysitter, having friends over, schoolwork, a family vacation. You get the idea. Anything where you're going to expect certain behavior from them that might be a little different than what occurs normally at home. And when you really need to take the time to sit down together and discuss what kind of situations may come up where they're gone and how you expect them to handle it. And also what they can do if they find that there is a problem with something and they need to take some kind of preventive action. This can come in very handy when your kids become teenagers. These prevention talks, by the way, may sound like an opportunity for you to lay down the law with your kids. They are not. The purpose of this is give and take, for you to talk about situations that may come up and then to discuss together the best way to handle them within the bounds of law and morality and your family values. As a leader in the family, you do have a responsibility as well as a right to make sure there's certain limits to where that negotiation discussion can go. But by the end of the meeting, and I'm not talking about a long meeting, but by the end of the meeting, you should be able to have a pretty clear understanding of what's expected and some of the things that might come up. The result of these prevention talks will not only reduce the likelihood of that asking for forgiveness later, it'll also help teach them how to think about problems beforehand and how to learn to anticipate consequences beforehand. And these are valuable learning tools that will be useful in problem solving later on. The activity for this week is to, of course, hold a prevention talk on any area or situation that's coming up where you think there needs to be a clear understanding about what you expect from them and where there's some room to negotiate what's okay and what's not okay. And they can ask questions, you can give answers, and you can come up with a clear understanding that we agree that we go to grandparents. We're not going to tell those kind of jokes because grandma just doesn't like them. So, think about what's okay in your family or the situations that you're in and use that as your guide stone for what those rules or understandings need to be. So you might begin the conversation with, just to make sure we're all on the same page about going to grandma's this weekend. I want to talk about some things that may come up. And then you talk about them and keep your attitude positive. This, again, is not a time to lay down the law. You want to show confidence in your child's ability to make good decisions and to behave properly in a situation. You might ask what kind of problems might come up that you could, and how would you deal with them when they come up? Let's talk about something that might come up and how you might handle it. And even play what if. What if? Again, with a teenager, you're at a party and you see this drinking going on. We've talked about the importance of not drinking until you're an adult making a decision then. But what are you going to do if you do see drinking going on? Let's talk about that. And you have to decide also on what your expectations really are about some of these situations. So, if you're in a relationship, married or otherwise, talk with your partner about it and come up with how you're going to handle certain situations and where your limits really are. So take the time to have a prevention talk this week. Write down, as always, either in your Doc Pop's 52 Weeks book or in a journal, how the meeting goes or the kind of questions you want to ask about, and then uh, talk about in your journal how it went. So you can use that to reflect on later. Have a good week and hope to see you next week for week 7 when we'll talk about one of the most important concepts in human relations, whether it's parenting, whether it's being a leader at work, or whether it's being with friends. And that's the concept of mutual respect. Hope to see you then.